3, 2.
The real deal TV, bringing the good stuff every day. The real deal TV, real deal TV.
Welcome to The Real Deal TV. I am your host, Lisa Ruddle, and today I'm joined by Jeremy Messenger. Welcome, Jeremy.
Hi, Lisa.
And Jeremy's not only our co-host tonight, but he's also the musical talent.
Thank you.
And today, the topic?
We're doing mental illness, and we're covering attention deficit disorder mostly.
A lot of things.
A lot of other things.
We have a cocktail mix of mental disorders on the show tonight, and most of them are between
us,
Jeremy
yes,
and I, but other people interjecting. So we have a big show. Jeremy, just quickly, a little bit about yourself.
Oh, a little bit about myself. I'm a professional singer-actor, and I'm a good friend of Lisa's, and I'm proud to be on the show. And I struggle with a bit of attention deficit disorder myself, as does Lisa, so it's nice to talk about it, and the more people come up and talk openly about it, it's great, so I'm really looking forward to the show.
What I love about Jeremy's mental disorders is that he's very blunt and honest. So he's always telling the truth about everything. I know he's guessing my weight once in a while. He's, you know, we always know what he's thinking. So I that might be something as you think is negative, but I actually think that's a very positive trait.
Thanks.
I'd rather have someone that's like, what are you, 150 today, than someone that's talking behind my back. So
Yeah.
you're the real deal, Jeremy.
She doesn't look 150 today, I'll tell you that much. She looks great.
I'm 175.
Oh.
So on the show, Todd Embley, Marcus Jasper, and Shanelle Connell. So each guest has some struggles in different disorders. So ADHD is our first guest. He does a new thing called ADHD Out Loud, a webinar that he's hosting. And then Marcus Jasper, degree in psych, type 2 bipolar, severe clinical depression. We're going to go into that. And then we're going to talk to the beautiful Shanelle Connell.
She's great.
Yeah, Jeremy really likes this one. A beautiful,
real positive person, wonderful person. I'm glad
gives
to have
me
her
hope
on the
for
show.
the next generation because she's a beautiful, positive, and inspiring young woman. So she'll be on the show. And then to finish it up, Jeremy is going to take the stage.
Thank you.
Let's get right down to it. Our first guest is here to talk about something that I am very familiar with, ADHD. Todd Embley, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
And Todd, you what's your background first?
I'm in Okanagan, born and raised, from here, but then left for a while, went to China for 8 years, worked in venture capital, was in startups, investing in early stage technology companies in China, running a program for our invested companies there. Went down to San Francisco for a little bit, and then came back to the Okanagan almost a couple years ago, and have been dabbling in the startup scene here ever since.
And diagnosed with ADHD this year?
Yeah, well, last year.
Last year, okay. Yeah. And Jeremy, do you have any of that in you?
I have. Yeah, Lisa, thanks. Yeah, thanks for passing it. Yeah, all three of us up here have ADHD. So I don't know if we're going to stay on topic that long.
Yeah,
do you want to go for
that's
background?
We're just going to end up talking about something else. But no.
Well, that's the funniest part is when Todd and I tried to do a podcast together, it went in so many different directions.
Yeah, oh, totally. Yeah, it's all over the map.
Is it all negative, or what's happening with your website, for example? Like, what have you found? You've got a website you were talking about.
Facebook group,
Facebook group.
Yep.
So what's happening there? You're having people interact, getting
Well,
to know
yeah, I
people?
mean, ADHD out loud.
Okay.
Because everybody wants you to keep it quiet. I was literally told by a family member before Christmas, sat down, and was said, because bear in mind, I work in the world of startups. So said, if you were to ever find a job, that was the first thing.
Don't find a job, keep a job.
Well, either or. To get a job, you can't say that you have ADHD. You need to keep this quiet. Don't be posting it on Facebook or something. And so I went completely the opposite direction. I'm like, okay, well, if this is the stigma, then I'm absolutely, you clearly don't know me, I'm absolutely going to go and make a whole Facebook group out of this and do a ton of it.
Is ADHD, don't tell ADHD people to not do something, because we will do the exact thing you're telling us not to do.
Yeah.
But it's so good to be able to have those conversations, because again, with any kind of mental illness or anything, there's a stigma involved, and so many people, there's so much fear involved. But until we have these conversations about, learning disorders or mental disorders, nothing's going to change.
No, and it's scary. I mean, it's even for me, I'm fairly, I would say, relatively confident, extroverted type of person who's okay. I've delivered keynote speeches in front of thousands of people at conferences and things, and I'm okay with it. But still, it's hard. I thought Sam Smith, the singer, did a brilliant thing last week. He posted a picture of himself on a beach without a shirt on, and a lot of people said that, or he said, you might think this is a narcissistic picture by somebody famous sitting on a beach in a really nice place. I can tell you this is one of the hardest things I've ever done, because it's not talked about, but growing up as a male, I had massive body issues. But as a male, having body issues, they don't go hand in hand. You're not really supposed to have body issues. You're a dude. You don't have body issues. You can't have, mental, issues with this. And so there's a lot of things where it's hard. It's an interesting. Okay, so the real deal. Talk real. I think when women have issues. Maybe it's, I find that maybe it's easier for them to talk about, but they don't get as much respect for it. And I think that's actually a shame, because I think when a man finally does come out and say something, he's lauded with applause for the bravery to stand up and say something, because as a man, you're not supposed to show weakness, and when you do, it's good. But then, because I was talking to a friend of mine who also has ADHD, diagnosed, and she's been misdiagnosed with depression and anxiety in all these years and all these medications and things. And then she is saying, like, nobody takes me seriously. Like, everything, I'm just having another day. It's just I'm being a drama queen. It's that time of the month. She gets thrown all these things at her, and nobody is taking her seriously.
Validating her.
Nobody's validating her.
Right.
So, yeah, there's this weird, I don't know, yin and yang with it, with the male and female. I don't know.
I think that's great that people are starting to talk about, attention deficit disorder and not giving it. I think with any kind of mental situation, I think all of us are self-conscious about talking about it, especially bring it up to a boss, bring it up to a friend.
Yeah.
You hear somebody's got attention deficit, automatically, and you start thinking whatever about that person. You start prejudging somebody before you've even met them, and not looking at the advantages that attention deficit disorder people have, which is something I was going to ask you about.
So the superpowers.
Well, let's talk about that for a minute.
Yeah,
Let's talk about
yeah.
because the negatives are
Positives,
things
yeah.
like
Emotional dysregulation, inattentive, impulsivity,
Impulsive, yeah.
disorder, disorganization, messy.
blurters.
Oh, totally. Blurting.
Blah.
Blurting. Yeah. That's a big one.
Guilty as charged.
Yeah, zero filter.
Yes, so we all know those ones. Now, tell us the positives of ADD and ADHD.
Well, from what and of course, some of them are whether you like having this or not, right? So I'm highly sensitive.
Okay.
To the point where people have asked me or told me that I have ESP around knowing what people are going to do or think. You can literally see around corners.
Intuitive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I really enjoy that to a degree. Sometimes
I don't like it for this reason. I don't like it for when you can tell someone is judging you or doesn't like you, because then I get into the panic mode because I can feel that they don't like me,
Yeah.
and then I start doing extra weird stuff.
I knew you were going to say that.
compensate.
No, I'm kidding. Yes, no, and it does, and it puts you off because you can feel a room and you can feel people, and you can just feel it, and because we're so sensitive. So we're so easily moved. Our mood is so easily moved. Our confidence is so easily moved. So it's much harder for us to be in a room where some things can happen, and for us to still stay within ourselves and not let it bother us. I remember as a kid, even as a teenager, and I knew it was weird and different because something would happen, and man, I would be done. I would be like, that's it, I'm out, I'm leaving, I'm going home, and people are like, dude, just let it go, it's over. And I'm like, nope, see you tomorrow. Like, I know me, I got to get out of here, I'm done. But positives.
Let's keep talking the negative for a minute because I got lots.
The hyper focus, right? So it's not that we lack attention. So attention deficit. You can have a deficit on one task. It's just that you're doing 12 tasks. It's not like our quantity is the same. It's just the quality of attention we give a particular task can be 20, 30% of what somebody else might do. However, if we get into hyper focus, we can go for hours and we could really motor through getting something done if we're incentivized because of something we love. So we typically have to do work that we love.
Well, creative work is a lot of the stuff.
Yeah.
For me, like I can sit in the edit suite for hours and do that.
Yeah.
I get distracted a lot, but I can
Sure.
still do that.
Or
Yeah.
I edit all the time.
There's a lot of jobs, like being an entrepreneur, obviously, but things like emergency response are big. Teachers are pretty good. Things
I
are changing
find
all days.
Stopping an
all
emergency
day.
thing, I feel like in emergency situations, I'm on it. Like I
Yeah.
can delegate. I can get, okay, you call the ambulance, you
Yeah.
get the,
I
first
flip
aid
out
kit.
over little things.
Yeah.
Give me a big thing, I am Mr.
Right.
I'm super calm, which is funny because my wife can never peg how I'm going to react to something.
Yeah.
Because if it's a small thing or whatever, I'll get all bent out of shape about it. But if it's a big thing, like something happened, like losing a job or losing a loved one or something like this, I am totally can handle it.
And my husband's like fight or flight. Like if something big happens, he's out the door, and I'm like, wait a second, like I need
Yeah.
you to help here.
Yeah.
But you think that he could be able to handle it.
Yeah.
Now with the whole hyperactiveness, one thing that I've learned over the years is people actually think that I like being in the center of attention, and actually. Just recently, people sang me happy birthday, and I hate being sung happy birthday so much, and I actually don't like
Yeah.
attention,
Yeah.
which is weird
Let
because.
me ask you a question. Do you like at Christmas, do you like to give gifts or get gifts?
I don't like gifts and anything. I don't like people giving me anything anytime because it makes me feel uncomfortable, but I love giving to people.
That's exactly the same. I hate opening a gift at Christmas, and it's around my family because I know I've got to do this whole, oh my God, thank you very much, something like this or whatever like this. But I feel if it's too much, I'm going to be like, oh please, I feel good. I only spent like 15 minutes. I got it at Winners for them, and I'm going to be like, oh, this is, But usually I put a ton of thought in though, and I'm almost paying attention all
Thoughtful?
year.
Thoughtful is a
Yeah,
great.
yeah, thoughtful,
other
caring.
positive.
Yeah.
So some resources quickly. So we've just covered the positives.
Sure.
So we're thoughtful,
Yeah.
intuitive, adventurous,
Oh yeah,
spontaneous.
adventurous, spontaneous, usually optimistic.
Yeah.
Usually very funny. Like to be, it's a problem for my wife before she's had 8 cups of coffee to try to handle me in the morning. But I'll be bebopping to making breakfast and singing music. But yeah, I think but then there's the fall off the cliff
Yeah,
sometimes.
How do they get diagnosed? How does
Yeah,
somebody
the
get
demon.
diagnosed? Somebody like yourself, you're a
It's
little
a
bit
long wait.
Oh, okay.
It
so
takes
what's the-
you have to go to your doctor
Yeah.
and you have to explain and you have to say, this is what I think maybe I'd like to possibly get in the system. They go, okay. They go through a little battery, you fill out some forms and things like this. Now, if you're an adult, for your kid, you do some forms, your teacher does some forms, you get it together, and then you wait 6 to 8 months until you can get an appointment with a psychiatrist. And that's the same. I'm in that waiting period for both me and my son. My MD was good enough. He knows a lot about it, so we're already starting to play around maybe with some a little bit of meds, just some very small, like 10 milligram type things, just to see if it makes a difference. But I think if you want resources, I think Driven to Distraction is the most amazing book. I think it's brilliant. I think you should read that. I think go on YouTube and look at Jessica McCabe's How to ADHD. Is a brilliant resource. And a local guy, Dan Duncan. Dr. Don Duncan is the leading child psychiatrist in town here in Kelowna.
Does he do the workshops?
Dan Duncan.
Okay.
His brother, Dan Duncan, who he brought into this
Dan
5
and
years.
Don?
Dan and Don. Yeah. So
Don.
Don is the psychiatrist, and Dan is basically the ADHD coach.
Okay.
So he does ADHD inside out. And he does seminars here in Kelowna every few months. I highly recommend, if you don't know if you do or you don't, that's the first place you should start. Sign up, go to the seminar on a Saturday, spend 5 hours there, listen to Dan.
Show
and-
up.
Yeah, don't forget.
Put your
Mark it in
calendar
your calendar, have
your
somebody call
reminders.
you. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, we're going to talk more about coping with ADHD with our next guest, Jasper. But thank you so much for coming, and just tell us how we can find your...
Thank you for having me. I think if anybody wants to, you can always reach me, just Todd Embley at Facebook or on LinkedIn, and our Facebook group, join that, ADHD Out Loud.
And the webinars, when are they?
They're Tuesday nights at 7:30. We stream them live in the Facebook group at the ADHD Out Loud, and there's usually a link in there if you want to just go jump onto the webinar because you want to say something or be actually involved.
Or one of your co-hosts doesn't show up.
Yes, and then I may be looking for somebody to jump on rather than just to be a monologue. Yeah, that'd be great.
Well, thank you for being a voice in the ADHD community.
No need to thank me. I thank everybody else who's out there.
And I think you need to actually get to your webinar.
Yeah, it's coming up tonight soon.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Todd.
Thank you.
Our next guest, Marcus Jasper, is here today. He's got a degree in psychology. He's a social worker. He's got ADHD, and he's also got what's called bipolar disorder.
Type 2.
Type 2. So I'd like him to talk to us about this. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And Lisa Reddle is with us as well. Lisa.
Always a pleasure, Lisa.
Marcus, you're here now. You've heard some of the discussions so far, and I know that you have your degree in psychology, and you wrote your paper, ADD and Me. Is that what it was called?
That's exactly what it was called.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about your journey and what you kind of took out of writing that.
I was diagnosed as a child by my pediatrician, Dr. Melton, who passed away. And the reason why he was able to diagnose so early is because he actually pretty much wrote the book for the Okanagan Valley in regards to attention deficit disorder and attention deficit hyperactive disorder. And he not only, I also met with a child psychologist, child psychiatrist, as well as a neuropsychologist, and they did a full brain scan, went through a whole battery of tests.
And just let me stop you for a second. What made that happen? Like, what were you doing that made you have all these people come in and try to diagnose you?
Basically, it was, they had my parents as well as my doctor, and they had basically noticed traits that were very similar to what is now considered the textbook definition of ADD and ADHD. And they had noticed that very early on.
So what were you doing? Let's get to the nitty gritty. What was
All right.
your house like?
So our house was pandemonium. I mean, my mother having 3 sons and all 2.5.
Don't say that.
Oh yeah.
Got my third on the way.
All 2.5 years apart from each other. And then I was very fidgety as well as getting into things and taking things apart. And I actually have a funny story about, if you remember Alice in Almond, I actually wrecked one of their computers by taking it apart. So I was never allowed back there. But yeah, I was that kid. I was that kid where we would be in Safeway and I would run off and they would announce over the speakers, Mrs. Jasper, Marcus is now in the meat department. Mrs. Jasper, Marcus is now running down aisle 3. Mrs. Jasper, Marcus is now at the customer service
He's in
desk.
the cookie aisle.
Oh, exactly.
He seemed calm now, though. I can't picture him running around. I mean, it's
That,
just...
that comes from years of learning to work with it and also scheduling, medication, keeping to basically, I have a journal every day where I kind of map out each day as to what I'm doing and making sure that I have a very good diet in regards to it. So
What are you cutting out?
I cut out a lot of sugar as well as pretty much staying away from artificial dyes, artificial flavors, and just eating really healthy, wholesome food.
Clean.
Very clean
And
food.
coffee. Is coffee helpful for you?
Oh, coffee is very helpful, but I don't actually drink coffee. I drink tea.
You work at Starbucks.
Not anymore.
Oh, you don't?
No.
You worked at Starbucks and you didn't drink coffee?
Nope. I
crazy.
have been a tea drinker ever since about my going into my fourth year of university, because I was drinking, being a poor college student, 8 to 10 cups of cafeteria coffee a day because, I mean, it was cheap. And
Were you medicated at the time?
oh yeah,
Oh, so you were medicated and taking coffee? Because lots of people self-medicate with coffee.
yes, because of the caffeine, it helps focus people with ADD as opposed to, say, people who don't have it and they're just drinking it just to get that energy to, say, do whatever tasks they happen to be
Wake
working
up.
on or wake up.
Right. Okay, I want to talk to you about your paper. So you wrote your paper. What did you learn from ADD and me?
So basically, it was almost self-explanatory when I wrote it. It's essentially how I grew up and how I learned to deal with ADD, having to overcome a lot of stigmas of being called pill popper, being teased maliciously.
I struggle with depression and anxiety, and I always wonder, I'm like, is that just a side effect kind of untreated ADHD? And I know that you've had some issues with like severe clinical depression. So what did you learn from your paper in that?
I learned that, yes, depression is part and parcel with ADD. However, if you are starting to feel signs of depression, I would definitely recommend talking to your doctor about it and then trying to get a referral for a psychiatrist or even counselor. Because what is happening in this day and age is that people feel that there is a harsh stigma about having to keep quiet, or for men, it's men don't cry, men don't have to deal with this, man up. It's kind of like whack them in the shins with a hockey stick and say, just walk it off.
Get over it, yeah.
Yeah.
But you're someone that's pretty vocal. And when you're going through dark times, we are friends on Facebook.
It's
you
true.
do share that. Now tell me, and I wonder, because some people will say, well, are you just trying to get attention? What's your motivation in sharing the darkness?
Basically, I write about what I'm going through to, it's therapy for me because I do love to write, but also it is definitely an outlet for people who can't always find that voice, where they might see things, it's like, oh, I can relate to that, or I can relate to that. And being able to help them find that voice and showing that it's okay to speak out about your depression. It's okay to speak out about what you are going through, because there are many support structures out there to help them rather than just keeping silent.
And what about the people that actually worry about you? So if you post something, because I'm somebody that when I see something online where someone sounds like they're suicidal or struggling, I will reach out to them and be like, hey, are you okay? What's going on? So how do we know that when people are going through those darkness and they share that they're not gonna, we're not gonna miss something and then regret it later?
Basically, the best that anyone can do for someone who's going through a bad depression is just being there and listening. That's not saying anything, not showing any form of judgment. It's just listening to what they have to say. And I have my own support system where I have 2 very, very beautiful fur kiddos of mine. And those are my emotional support animals. And then I have, obviously my family has been very supportive throughout all of this. And then I have certain friends that I can be like, hey, I'm having an off day, and talk to them. And that's basically, they just listen.
Just accepting that some days you'll be on, some days
Oh,
you'll be
yeah.
off, and just to walk through that with you.
Oh, exactly.
So advice.
Basically, if you are having a depressive time, talk to your doctor and talk to a counselor. There is also cognitive behavioral therapy
And that's for both ADHD and depression.
Oh,
the advice,
completely.
yeah, so.
Completely. There's many support structures out there, even with what I do at work, as well as if people are needing help for that, there's many different phone lines that you can call, and that support is available, especially through the Canadian Mental Health Association.
Okay. Well, it's so nice to see you in person. I see you on Facebook a lot, and I appreciate that you are open and vulnerable with your story so that other people that are watching can know that it's okay. And
It's completely okay to. I always tell people, embrace the madness.
welcome.
Yeah. and,
To the set, yeah.
and that's just it. I always say, embrace the madness.
That's why I have Jeremy co-hosting. I've embraced his madness.
She does, yes.
Because at the end of the day, we're all human, we all make mistakes, but we all need to be there to support people.
And I think talking about it is a big thing. That's the biggest thing. Come out and talk to somebody, right?
Oh,
Obviously.
exactly.
So-
Well, thank you so much for coming, Marcus.
Very welcome, and congratulations again.
Again, for the third. Is there congratulations on the third one?
Can you zoom in on her belly, please? No? Camera
That's-
Can you zoom into his belly?
Yeah, no.
Okay.
Let's just.
Thanks, Marcus. Up next, we have Shanelle Connell, and she'll be speaking. She's a YouTuber, and she's got some things to say on these issues as well. So thank you so much. Something all of our guests need is a little bit of self-love, and Shanelle Connell is here to just talk about that. She's a YouTuber. Welcome, Shanelle.
Thank you. I'm really happy to be here. Excited.
Well, Jeremy's very excited. I might have to remove him from the couch soon. He
That's okay.
He said before we started filming, he said, "You look like a Tinder girl." I'm like,
I-
Jeremy.
I meant it in the most loving way. Everybody knows that. So.
You know what? Like, Bumble's the new Tinder, though.
Exactly.
If I'm being
That's what I
totally
should've
honest.
said.
I don't even know what that is.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at.
It's like the app. You can make friends with it. You can make
Yeah.
work friends. You
That's
can
right, yeah.
do the dates.
You shouldn't have told him that.
That's probably what I should have
You're
heard.
going to be on Bumble next.
I'm going
I
to try
see you there.
something better. That's
Yeah.
good.
So
Thanks.
tell me a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so right now I'm finishing my psychology degree at the University of British Columbia, Okanagan. A few years ago, I think it's been 2 now, I competed for Miss Universe Canada, and I placed top 20, which was so exciting for me. During that time, I was really heavy into advocating for women and men that have been through toxic and abusive relationships, so I worked closely along Elizabeth Fry. And now I'm just so ready for the next chapter, and I cannot wait to start my business, get really deep into what I want to do, which is advocating a message of self-love, healthy relationships, and intentional living.
Okay, and why is that important to you?
So for me, growing up, I was raised with a lot of love in my family, and I come from a Christian home, and I was told God always created us for love, and that's a sentence and a motto that I've always lived by. And it hit me, and I was like, how many people in this world don't feel worthy of that? How many people go around thinking, I'm not worthy of love, I'm not worthy to even love myself? And so in order to transform their life, you first need to love yourself. I think everybody knows that. Self-love is becoming like a very hot topic on social media lately. Everywhere you go, you hear about it. And for me, I think in order to help others help themselves, we need to cover those basics first before you essentially want to walk before you can run.
Right. With the whole self-love movement, now, when is it too far? Because I know that one thing, like a lot of the self-help and all these self things, the main thing is self.
Yeah.
So how can we encourage people to love themselves, but also to love others as well?
I think when you look at the term self, you need to not think of it as an egotistical term.
Selfish.
Yeah, exactly, selfish. We're not talking, you're looking in the mirror, you're telling yourself every day that you look great. To me, messages saying that you're beautiful no matter what, like no matter your size, body, whatever, that's phenomenal. But at the end of the day, self-love is when you really, truly look inside yourself and you face those dirty, deep, nasty problems that you have within who you are, and you learn to accept them and grow from them. And through that, you'll be able to have that light shine out to others.
What was some of the things that you struggled with that you had to have that conversation with yourself?
Yeah, so when I was 17, I moved to Kelowna when I was 16, and I was really bullied. I switched schools 3 times in 1 year. And I developed an eating disorder because I just felt so out of control in my life. And I didn't really realize why. Like, I've never had an issue with food. Like, I've always loved food. Give me pizza and I'm like, okay, eat the whole thing. Like, add extra toppings, please. I was the girl that was like, Mom, I just want like extra cheese on my pizza all the time.
Just know this is 20s, this is 30s, okay?
Well, you're pregnant, so that's fine. Eating for two. But when I developed EDNOS, which is eating disorder not otherwise specified, it wasn't necessarily anorexia or bulimia, but it was me over-exercising and then under-eating or binge eating and then working out 4 hours that day and then wanting to go for like a 20-minute swim like 3 other times a day, just really disordered thinking. And when I kind of faced that, I was like, holy crap, I have never been like this my entire life. What was the switch? Like, what flipped for me, you know?
And what happened? Like, what did flip?
When I got bullied, I think I was so used to being confined in my bubble, because I'm from Calgary originally, of being supported. People really like loved me, liked me. I had all this affirmation going on around me all the time. I've had affirmation at home. And it made me realize how surface level that confidence I had was, because I was being told all the time, like, oh, you're an awesome person. And I didn't truly believe that in myself once people started picking apart my personality and character and being like, oh, she's too exuberant. Oh, someone said to me on the first day of school, why are you wearing a skirt? And I was like, well, I feel really attacked for trying to look
Was it a
nice.
girl?
It was.
That weird.
I know, so shocking. So
And
that,
being the new girl too, so I was just gonna say, like, I was a new girl, I think 4 times in high school, and that alone is torture.
Oh, yeah.
Because
Aren't girls
you're
worse,
a target.
though? Sorry to interject. Aren't girls worse
Have
for that
you-
kind of stuff? I don't know, I'm a guy, but I hear girls are really awful
Have you
with
watched
Mean
The Real
Girls?
Housewives, Mean
Or-
Girls,
That's
what I-
any
that's what
other
I- yeah.
female dominant
And the fact
show?
that you're talking about bullying, was it girls who were bullying
It
you
was,
like that?
it was girls, majority. And then
yeah.
when the girls, and especially the popular girls, start bullying you,
Oh, yeah.
the popular guys start bullying you, and
Oh,
it's just.
geez.
it
Was
becomes
Mean Girls
this-
like a documentary for you?
Mean Girls is actually my life. Hi, I'm Katie Hayron. Nice to meet you. You know.
ditto. Well, it was. then,
Yeah.
But now I'm-
But look at how good you've turned out now. I mean, I hate to say, I mean, you've had all these awful experiences, and
you.
now you're doing really well, and you're speaking positive, good role model for the younger girls. What do you have any advice for any of the young girls going through school now that are going through this, where they might be getting picked on, or any thoughts?
social media
So-
as
Yeah,
Because I have a daughter, I'm
social-
concerned. You know, I just want to and. Yeah, what should they do? They're getting picked on in school like you were. What's a good idea for a girl?
Yeah. I think for me, I don't think I would have been able to make it through without having a good support system. Like, I think I probably would have kept being on that downward spiral. I remember my mom took me out one night and it was snowing so hard, and she knew I was on the cusp of depression. She's like, we have to go outside. Like, you're going on a walk with me. It's 7 o'clock at night, it's dark, it's snowing, but like, we need to get your serotonin up. And having someone to consistently talk to and feel like I have a safe space to visit at the end of the day, whether it's a parent, whether it's a friend, an aunt, if you encourage your children or encourage young women to find that, and young men, to find that safe zone where they feel at home, that to me is one of the strongest things you can do in order to keep them out of that bullying circle and that cycle.
Well, and the two, being in the Okanagan, I don't know if you've noticed if you're from Calgary, the cloud cover in the Okanagan. So a lot of times some of that depression, that like you just need a sunny
Seasonal
day.
affective disorder.
The seasonal affective disorder. Because I know my sister and I would be like, oh, life is horrible, I feel horrible. And then the next day the sun would come out. We're like, what were we complaining about?
I know.
It's a beautiful day.
So I'm kind of weird though. I like the gray.
Okay.
Like my mom's, she basically, since the time I was little, she's like, I'm pretty sure I like bared child to a vampire. So
Got the curtains closed.
I don't
and-
suck blood. I'm not like, I don't sparkle in the sunlight unless my highlights really pop in.
She sparkles in the sunlight sometimes.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Sorry.
It's the blonde hair, beautifulness. Yeah, so where were we going again with that? I got so
Well, just
We're ADD, by the way. so-
yeah. Do you,
I
wanna go for that
swear,
guide?
after just hearing the last few interviews, I'm like, oh my gosh, do I have ADHD? Is this my life? Like, I'm a very highly sensitive person as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm like buzzing all the time. As soon as I'm around people, I can feed off their energy. I'm like
Yeah.
You're not having a good time. I can tell. You can lie to me until you're blue in the face, but I know something's wrong.
Totally.
Yeah.
So maybe you do have, we'll diagnose you later.
Yeah. That's what the new show will be.
So now, I know in my generation, because I'm 36,
Yeah.
I didn't have social media and all those kinds of things. And that's a huge thing with bullying, and that can lead to depression, things like that. Now, your generation, you guys kind of got the brunt of it. But now, you know, Jeremy's daughter, what is she?
She's 9.
She's 9 now.
Yeah.
So, like you did go in a bit of it, but what kind of tools would you give a 9-year-old version of yourself?
Limits on screen time, 100%. If you go into your settings on the iPhone, you can actually limit your screen time in terms of hours, and it locks everything out, and you have to make the conscious choice. Really teaching your son or daughter to be conscious of what they're consuming on Instagram or Facebook or YouTube. YouTube's so much easier because it's a search engine, essentially. It's like a video version of Google. But on Instagram, you're just being constantly fed content that is typically, if I'm being totally honest, narcissistic and does not feed your soul.
Okay, yeah.
I went through like an unfollow binge, and I unfollowed hundreds of people. Girls that I was like, you know, I really want to support your careers, like you're doing amazing things in fashion, but watching and looking at your stuff every single day with your perfect life makes me feel like absolute crap about myself. And knowing that's okay. Like if you know it's okay that you're putting boundaries, and this, I don't know how you would technically relay this to a 9-year-old, but giving them those life tools, knowing that they're allowed to set boundaries, knowing that they're allowed to do things for themselves to make themselves feel better, because kids know when something doesn't feel right to them. But encouraging them to have that confidence and give themselves the permission to do that.
Okay, and parents snooping. Now, I mean, now that I'm a parent, I'm just like, yeah, snoop, you know, because I kind of wish that my parents had snooped a little bit more when I was going through stuff, so they would actually know what I was going through. What is your advice for parents?
So my aunt was actually my snooper, because my mom, technology is
Not her thing?
nope, can't do it. Every day I'm like, how do I use the remote, Chanelle? How do I use my phone, Chanelle? She's really cute. She's my best friend.
Skype is this close to the face.
Yeah, that's my
Do you
grandpa,
see me?
actually.
Do you see
My
me?
grandpa's better with his phone.
Really?
Yeah, he's so cute. In terms of snooping, I personally am very thankful that I had my aunt snoop on me in terms of watching and monitoring what I was doing online, because let's be totally honest, stranger danger is a thing out there. I get messages all the time. I had a stalker last month that just constantly kept going on me on Instagram. He called our business phone, found that number somehow. So it gets really scary, and when your kids are young,
Yeah, sure.
they might not understand it now,
The real danger.
but not even the danger of other people too, but the danger of what they're consuming.
Right.
So I don't personally think that it's an issue to snoop, as long as you're doing it in a respectful manner.
Like openly, should you be like, I need to have your passwords to Facebook, or Facebook's not cool. Facebook is for people my age, but like for things like Snapchat and things, I don't even know what's cool, but I'm gonna pretend. But like, is it okay to say I need your password?
I was never asked for my password. I don't think when I have kids, I'd ever ask for their password. But I think for me, I always had an open line of trust with my parents. And because they trusted me, didn't request things like my password, and I knew they
respected you.
They respected me in my space. I felt comfortable, and I knew my aunt was looking at what I was doing online. I felt comfortable.
Right.
So when I knew that they were looking online and they let me know that, it made me so much more aware of how to consciously act online, because once you put something out there, it is out there forever. And it also helped me feel like my parents aren't out to get me. They're just here to be there for me.
Support you,
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome.
What is your YouTube thing?
Yeah.
What's that? I was going to ask you.
Oh, so just under my name, Shanelle Connell, if you search that up on YouTube.
Okay.
I basically do videos from all topics that kind of encompass self-love, healthy relationships, intentional living. One of my most popular videos, I've had my YouTube channel for 8 years. I had a video go viral called Beauty, which was an anorexia short film. But one of my newest ones that I did was how to stop anxiety and overwhelm. And so videos like that, these how-to videos in terms of helping amplify your well-being in your life is where I want to go and what I'm super passionate about, especially with relationships. Because my generation is so screwed with that.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say that you seem to have gone through some things, but you're coming out, you know, on top and doing things that are positive for future generations. So thank you so much for doing that.
Thank you.
And so people can follow you online at...
Yeah, so my primary platform is Instagram. You can find me at Shanelle.Connell.
Oh,
Shanelle Connell is
it's almost
taken.
like Chanel.com.
Yeah, exactly.
Chanel.
You can find me at Chanel.com and then on YouTube at Shanelle Connell. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for joining
Thank you
us
so
and
much.
sharing your story.
Thank you.
It's now my pleasure to introduce Jeremy Messenger as our musician tonight. What are you singing, Jeremy?
I'm going to do a song, Brooklyn, that I wrote for my daughter, Brooklyn, when she was born.
So, Brooklyn, Brooklyn. All right, take it away.
Thank you. On an autumn day, my dream came true. Beautiful baby girl with eyes so blue. I wonder if she'll ever know just how she fills my heart and soul. And it's true, God has sent an angel to me. Beautiful angel from up above, laying in her mama's arms so full of love. Her tiny hands, a precious face. I sing to the stars above, I'm so full of praise. And it's true, my life has started over again. Baby girl, you will be whatever you want, whatever you dream. All you gotta do is take your daddy's hand, and together we'll do the best we can. La na 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 na. La na 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 na. La na 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 na. La na 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 na. La 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 la. Baby girl, it's alright. Get afraid in the dark, I'll hold you through the night till the sun rises once again. And I hear her say, Daddy, can we play again? La na 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 na. La na 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 na. La na 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 na. Thank you. Times when I feel like this, long to kiss your lips. Baby, you make me turn around and around. Loving you, baby, baby, down at the south side of town. Loving you, baby, baby. Loving you, baby, baby. I'm loving you down at the south side of town. I'm loving you, baby, baby, down at the south side of town. Times when I go astray, I come back right away. Baby, you make me turn round and around. Fuck this. Loving you, baby, baby. Loving you, baby, baby. Yeah. Loving you. Woo, down at the south side of town. I'm loving you, baby, baby. Down at the south side of town. All right. Loving you, baby, baby. Loving you, baby, baby. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Loving you. Down at the south side of town. Loving you, baby, baby, down at the south side of town.
Good job, Jeremy. You almost took me out there with your guitar. Got a little stuck there for a minute.
Thank you.
How do people find you?
Oh, find me on Lisa's page. She pages me every day when I call her, so.
And Tinder. Thanks so much, Jeremy.
Thank you.